September 11th, 2025. The world wakes up and decides, let's jump the US. Don't ask why. Maybe they called football soccer one too many times. Maybe they hit the wrong oil field again. Either way, 194 countries hit the group chat and say, tonight we ride. Nukes? Nah, they're banned. Or else this video ends faster than your last Tinder date. So who goes first? Of course, Russia. Tanks rolling, jets scrambling, the whole Cold War grudge match finally unpaused. And right behind them, China, with the world's largest army and a manufacturing base that can churn out weapons like TikToks. Across the Atlantic, NATO flips. France, Germany, UK, Turkey, basically the whole squad that once marched with America is now staring them down. North Korea and Italy like the Detroit Lions and Cleveland Browns with 0 actual wins. India joins too, gotta put the call centers to use. Spain, Nigeria, Thailand, Sweden, even Iceland waddles onto the field armed with... Never mind. Like, bro, what are you gonna do, send 12 dude and hope the US slips on black ice? At this point, half the world is there, and seconds later, the other half joins in too. It's Uncle Sam versus the world in the lobby. Now, before moving forward, we need to understand the battlefield. The United States isn't just a country. It's a fortress shaped by geography. 2 massive oceans on either side act like natural moats. To the north, Canada. To the south, Mexico. That means if anyone wants to fight America, they need to cross thousands of miles of open water, all while dodging submarines, missiles, and stealth bombers. There's no easy land invasion here, so it's as close to home field advantage as it gets. So how does the world even try? They need a game plan. Russia takes the first swing. Missiles, submarines, just enough to keep US defenses looking north. It's not about conquering Alaska, it's about distraction. China moves in right after by stretching American forces across the Pacific. Massive fleets, drone swarms, constant pressure on shipping lanes, forcing the US Navy to cover way more ground than it wants to. And while those 2 giants keep America's eyes busy, the rest of the world plays the long game. Oil exports cut, trade routes frozen. Cyber units from North Korea, Iran, and even smaller states hammer at banks, power grids, satellites, GPS, etc. But here's the catch. The US spends nearly half of the entire world's defense budget. Its war machine is massive, and it doesn't run on imports alone. It has the world's largest strategic fuel reserves, enough to keep planes flying and tanks rolling for weeks, even months. So the opening moves are clear. The world wants to squeeze America from every angle. But the US isn't built to fold in round 1. It's built to hold out, hit back, and make the other side pay for every mile. The US is simply built different, better than anyone on land, stronger at sea, and especially unstoppable in the skies. Together, the Air Force and Navy fly over 13,000 aircraft. That's more than the next 5 countries combined. And it's not just numbers, it's quality. F-22 Raptors, the stealth kings of dogfights. F-35 Lightnings, B-2 Spirit bombers that can glide in invisible and drop 40,000 pounds of delete button anywhere on the map. And the secret sauce? Over 600 refueling tankers. That means US jets can stay in the air for longer than anyone else. Now, Russia plus China team up with around 7,500 aircraft. Decent on paper. But here's the catch. Most are Cold War hand-me-downs. Su-27s, MiG-29s, J-10s, J-11s. They fly, they shoot, but they can't hide. They're shiny new toys, China's J-20 stealth jet and Russia's Su-57. Cool names, but tiny fleets, maybe just a few hundred of them combined. So here's how the clash looks on screen. Russian and Chinese jets rush forward in waves. American F-22s slice through, F-35s rain missiles, and bombers sneak past radar. For every US jet that takes a dent, 4 or 5 of theirs spiral down in flames. By the end, America still has hundreds of jets circling, while Russia and China are running low on both planes and pilots. But wars aren't won in the sky alone. If the world really wants to take down the United States, at some point they need boots on American soil, and the only way to get there is across the ocean. Massive convoys stretch across the water, packed with tankers, carriers, and troop transports. From Europe, they crawl west across the Atlantic, and from Asia, they push east across the Pacific. Because everyone knows, if you want to beat America, you first have to cross the ocean. On paper, the strategy sounds bold. Europe aims for the American East Coast, hoping to crack open ports like Norfolk or New York. Even countries with barely any navy join the push, throwing in borrowed frigates or ancient warships just to swell the numbers. The immediate goal is not occupation, it is to break the ports, choke the supply lines, and make a beachhead. But here is the problem. The US Navy is not just an offensive weapon, it is built like a shield. Their submarine fleet alone is bigger than most nations' entire navies. While the convoys crawl forward at walking speed, American submarines are already waiting underneath them. Within days, ships start disappearing. Tankers go under in the mid-Atlantic. Transports vanish long before they reach striking distance. The oceans are sealed tight. Where else can the world try? The answer is the land borders. If there's one place the world thinks it can slip into America, it's the southern border. So for a coalition desperate to put boots on US soil, Mexico looks like the most realistic entry point. It's desert, it's long, and let's be honest, it's where half the internet already jokes about people sneaking in. But this time, it's not just migrants, it's armored columns. The problem is, America already knows this. Every crossing is fortified, drones circle overhead, mobile artillery and rapid response forces patrol the choke points. What looked like the easy door turns into another meat grinder. And while this chaos unfolds on the borders, the pressure inside the country is just as dangerous. America isn't just home to Americans. It has millions of residents, workers, and students from the very countries now marching against it. Overnight, paranoia spikes. Who's loyal? Who's spying? The government declares a national emergency. Curfews go up. Military police are deployed in cities. Intelligence agencies start rounding up suspected foreign spies. America has to fight two battles at once. The obvious one at the borders, and the invisible one inside its own streets. The war stops being a brawl and starts looking like chess. Every move read, countered, and punished. And now it's America's turn to move. On the battlefield, the US unleashes its full arsenal. Navy subs tearing convoys apart, Air Force jets locking skies down, and armored divisions sealing every border. But off the battlefield, the retaliation cuts deeper. Treaties are torn up. Trade deals collapse. Allies turned enemies now watch their economies choke as America slams sanctions on anything that still breathes. And then comes the digital strike. The US doesn't just defend its networks, it owns the networks. The backbone of the global internet runs through American companies. Take them offline, and suddenly entire economies can't talk, can't trade, can't even bank. Imagine waking up in Europe or Asia and realizing the apps that run your business, your money, even your government systems have gone dark. That's not just war, that's pulling the plug on civilization. It isn't just defense anymore. The US starts striking back abroad. Long-range bombers hit supply hubs in Europe. Drones swarm Middle Eastern oil facilities. Cyber attacks ripple through Asian grids. Even North Korea, the farthest corner of the board, finds its missile sites glowing red on targeting screens. No one is out of reach. America doesn't fight one war. It fights them all at once. And for every cut it takes, it makes the attacker pay twice over. At first glance, it might look like the US is still holding up just fine. But the real truth is, by now the war has dragged on far longer than any nation could truly survive. Think about it. World War II killed nearly 70 million people, and that was with far fewer nations involved and far less destructive firepower. In a scenario where almost 200 countries are throwing everything they have, the death toll wouldn't just be higher, it would be unimaginable. Hundreds of millions gone, maybe more. And the part that never makes the highlight reel? The aftermath. Cities gutted, economies shattered, food and medicine shortages stretching decades, refugees scattered everywhere, generations growing up with nothing but trauma and ruins. So who wins if the whole world attacks the US? Nobody. The only thing guaranteed is the loss of humanity itself. And somewhere, some historian in 3025 will look back and say, all this because someone called it soccer?